we have put together this mental health panel talk on behalf of the Irish COVID support group. We decided to get together some members of the Irish community to talk about their own personal experiences with regards to the global pandemic that has hit us all in 2020, how everyone's coping, different situations and experiences, and hopefully some of you can relate to them. So that is why we are here today, to hopefully chat about some issues that people find relatable. As we sit here and talk about the global pandemic that is COVID-19, we're hearing a lot in BC, especially about the opioid crisis that's currently happening here in Vancouver, and it's something that we definitely have to pay attention to. I suppose within the Irish community, I know we've gotten a lot of warnings from a health point of view about fentanyl and being safe and being responsible for your own safety with regards to if you are going to take drugs. To Dave, I don't know if you kind of have more inside knowledge on what the proper advice is.
The opioid crisis is something that's been going on here for a long time. And like, I think like since COVID, since people are being advised to stay at home and stuff like that, they are using more at home and using on their own. And then the people are dying from overdosing because they're using on their own. I think another thing that I've kind of started observing happening is that like supplies aren't coming in as freely due to the way things are in the world. So I think drugs are starting to be like cut with a lot of stuff. It's not just like opioids and fentanyl and stuff like that. I think things like your ecstasy or MDMA or like cocaine is all being cut with these adulterants that are causing people a lot of problems and kind of leading to like overdoses. Like you might think you're taking one thing, but it ends up it's cut with something else. So I think the general consensus is now like there's kind of free dialogue about it. There's like we have a lot of overdose prevention sites in the city where people can go to use safely, but I think some of them actually also test drugs. So if you are going to choose to use, these places are non-judgmental. You can go in, you can get whatever it is you might have tested and get a bit of reassurance from that. I think there's another company here. It's run by a dispensary, but it's like get your drugs tested and like you can mail it into them. Like they give you instructions on how to do it. Whether it's above board, I don't know. But like at the end of the day, it's about keeping people safe. If people are making choices, I think we still have an onus to protect them. Let's get your drugs tested. If people are going to use, and like we're seeing, like we're kind of hanging out a lot more in the evening, bit of partying, whether it's in your or not, socializing, the weather is great. If you are going to use, don't use on your own. Have a friend with you. And if you can't do that, let somebody know, like if you are using something on your own, let somebody know that you're going to use and that maybe try and organize a check-in time or something like that, just so that there is that safety. Because, I mean, people do use whatever drug it might be. They might be drinking, they might be, you know, it's like, I'm not in a good mood, I'm drinking this tonight, will you check in on me later, or do you mind if I check on you, things like that. If you are going to be using kind of stimulants and stuff like that, I would suggest getting your hands on an naloxone kit. I think you could probably get them in any of those overdose prevention sites. They're pretty simple to use. If you're getting it for the first time, they'll explain how to use it. And I think you'll see, or you might notice, or maybe I noticed because I know what they look like, but you see a lot more people are carrying them around in general. Like in the area where I work at, like everybody is carrying them. You occasionally see people with them at the beach and stuff like that. So,
Dave, excuse my ignorance. What exactly is that kit? What does it do?
Oh, it's an naloxone kit. So it's basically it reverses opioids. So if somebody is overdosing from heroin or more likely fentanyl, it automatically reverses it. Have you seen Pulp Fiction? Where yeah. So it's not like that. It's
Don't
just
do that.
but it is an injection that if somebody has lost conscious and you know they've used drugs, it's just an injection that'll take it out of it, or it'll reverse the interaction straight away.
Right. Yeah. That's really interesting. So I know a lot of conversations that I'm hearing friends having here is people that are doing coke at parties right now, and there is that risk that there might be fentanyl within it.
Yeah.
So you're saying that if someone has one of these kits at a house party, that literally could save someone's life.
I think absolutely. If you're going to be having people over at your house and you're going to be, if that's like the road you choose to go down, I think it's very important that you have one. I think if you're going to take on using and partying, I think there's no harm having that responsibility of having one around. I think we can all do it. I have one here in the house. I've one when I go camping. If I go to parties, I carry one around to work all the time. I don't know. I think another thing, we're just like breaking down the stigma of people using and partying here and stuff. And like another thing I'll say is if you are with somebody and they're using and they look like they're overdosing or not having a good time or they're at risk, call the emergency services. It's not judgmental. You're not going to get in trouble. The person isn't going to get in trouble. So yeah.
Dave,
That's
how do you get a kit?
I would imagine you can probably go to any doctor's office, but those overdose prevention sites, they'll all have them. I think even if you Google it, you probably get them anywhere, really, to be honest. Do you want to see one?
Yeah.
sure.
Show and tell.
All the education. I mean, I think it's really important to talk about because we're all adults. We all will make decisions. If someone wants to take drugs, they want to take drugs, and that's their decision. But just be smart about it. And one of the instances that Dave mentioned there was camping. I think that's so important because if you are camping in the wilderness, obviously response time is going to be so much longer. So having something like this with you is if you do decide to go camping and you do decide to bring drugs.
Oh yeah.
Very discreet.
It is very discreet. It'll fit in your bag. It's all there. Like if you're getting it for the first time, they'll give you instructions how to use it. It's pretty simple. But yeah, I think it's where we're going now. And people are partying. People are going off into the woods and stuff like that. It's harder for emergency services. Even if you use yourself, it's just I don't know. It's just good to have.
I think it's a conversation that you need to have with your peers also. Like if people are doing it, like nobody wants to be the party pooper or nobody wants to be like, but the way I see it is sometimes I'm like, guys, I don't want my night ruined because of you. That sort of way. You kind of be like, no one wants to ruin the party. But I think it's just like having one of them is such a safety net. Like and it shouldn't have to have a safety net, but it's there.
That's it.
So like, you don't know these days, like you hear all these horror stories of like groups of teens taking like cocaine and one like heart stops.
Yeah.
And it's like, why did my son have to, like, why did that happen to him? And that's the conversation then of the trauma that leads after that. Like everybody has social media. My dad follows the Daily Hive. He was like, messaged me one day and he was like, I read that Vancouver were handing out free safe drugs, and I was like, yeah, because if they're safe, it's better for them to get safe drugs than it is to get stuff what they're getting off the streets and off the dealers and what's coming in. And it's quite terrifying. Like I feel it's just, if you're having a conversation, everyone wants to have a good time, like, and lads are lads and girls are just like the same. If Yom is like an influential person, like he's the captain of the lads, like he's lad. It just takes one of them to be like, lads, cop on, do it, in small doses, or here's the safety kit. We're all prepared. This is where it is. Let's all just be like communicated about it. And if you don't feel well, let one of us know, because it's worse to probably sit there and be like in a panic, so.
Yeah. And another thing here, they're kind of introducing a safe supply. So if you are somebody that is using an addictive substance or an illegal substance, whatever, and you do have to lock down for 2 weeks, or you do get sick or something, like the risk of you becoming more unwell when you don't have that substance could be worse. So I think people can look into like safe supply through like different physicians and stuff like that, and they will try and support you in that way. So yeah,
That's really.
I think it's something we have to be conscious of here. I feel like substances are a lot more accessible here than I've noticed in Ireland. Like I've been to parties, been to bars, like just going to the washroom and coming out, and somebody that you don't know is offering you blow or something. And I just think it's crazy. It's because you wouldn't, or I wouldn't see that where I live for sure anyway. So, you know, I think if people are, if we're going to be in that situation, I think we need to be responsible about it and talk about it, communicate, and be safe.
I think the big one in Vancouver is I don't know how many, I know we call them J1ers here as well, especially among the GA team, we call them J1ers, but every one of them seem to find Wreck Beach, and they all find Wreck Beach for one thing, and it's more or less mushrooms, and it's probably their first time taking them. So for any guys that do, or girls that do come over, and you definitely need to be careful with them. They can be okay, but there's a lot of people that affect everyone differently, I suppose. So people trying it for the first time in your groups of friends or whatever, you really need to be careful. Definitely have some responsible person there who's probably minding the group, a babysitter almost, or something like that.
Designated driver, yeah.
A designated driver, yeah.
Designated assistant to get you up the stairs, like.
But 100%, that's the biggest one that I hear around Vancouver, especially summertime and the beaches and stuff. Anyway,
it's even not just like with mushrooms or with cocaine or anything. It's also weed. Like for this is going to be like, it's because it's so legalized here, and there's like it's properly, you know. You can go to your different weed shops. You can get it in like, you know, sweet form. You can get it in like where you can just put it into rolling and smoke it and stuff like that. It's very different than like any. And I suppose like the whole concept around it in Ireland is if you do it, you're nothing but kind of the lowest low. Yeah. And whereas here, there's obviously been so much more education over it, but at the same time, because it's obviously so much purer, there's so many more different varieties of it. People sometimes don't realize how much of an effect it can have on them. So like they can come over and they'd be like, oh no, it's grand, I had it in Ireland, or because it's legal here, it's so much better for me. But it can still have that devastating effect as well, as much as like anything else in this when you're chatting about it. So it is, as like Dave was saying, like do the check-ins, like if you're not feeling, like as Paul was saying, have like the designated driver. Like it's just about doing it responsibly and having kind of your head on your shoulders when you're thinking about doing it. Because I mean, like if it's not right for you, like you're going to find out very quickly about it, and it can lead to significant mental health problems if you don't look after yourself. Like even though it's a legalized substance and there's a lot of different strains of it, and it's quite well managed, and it's very safe to use, at the same time it's not going to suit everybody, and it never will. And it's to be conscious of that. You could be that one person that it may not suit.
Exactly.
Also, like the shops are there. Go in and actually don't be that person going like, just get this. Go in and talk to them. These people are working there. That's their life. They're passionate about it. You know, they'll know exactly what you're looking for, and that's like, you'll find what suits you if it is what suits you. You know, if it's a higher in CBD and it's more of a chill, or if you want that little bit of a relaxing or take the kick off, or you know, some people compare it to like, oh, I just have it now because it's like having a cigarette, you know, it's just, or that like drink in the evening if you're like after a day. If you do, everyone's going to do what makes them feel better. Yeah. Have the education about it. Don't feel bad that you're doing it. Definitely be talking about it. Keep safe. And then just like, if you're interested about it, or if you see it happening, go to any of those shops that are there. Like they know so much, like, and you can, there's a lot like between chocolates and gummies and stuff like that. But yeah, I guess it's just finding what's good for you if you do like that.